On today's show, we take a look at the 5 potential Dereck Lively replacements that the Mavericks could trade for ahead of the 2025 NBA trade deadline. Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein. We'll get right in to those replacements here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to ask you guys, or tell me down in the comment section, name someone that the Mavericks should trade for down in the comments. Do you think it's a big, which is what we'll be talking about today? Do you think they should trade for a guard? Should it be a wing? Let me know what you guys think. Put your GM hat on down below. And without further ado, let's hop right in to today's show. Number one, we already talked about him on yesterday's video when the Dereck Lively injury news came out. It's Jonas Valanciunas out of Washington. And I think this is the quickest, easiest short-term solution for the Mavericks going forward. Jonas is playing very well this year for a horrible Washington Wizards team, averaging 11 points, or almost 12 points, 8 rebounds, and shooting 56% from the field. He's a veteran. He's been there and done that. He's been around the block. And the one thing I love about him is his contract right now. Making just $10 million this year, goes up to 10.4 in 25-26, and then in 26-27, it's back down to $10 million. So I think Jonas is he's not only the probably the most veteran savvy guy on this list, he's also one of the most affordable. And all it would take would be Maxi Kleber and maybe a protected first or a couple of second-round picks to get the deal done. So he's one of my favorite options on this list. Now, the only problem is he's not going to have any shortage of suitors here at the trade deadline, so the Mavericks will be competing with other teams for his services. Number two, and this one is a little bit off the beaten path, but I'm going to go with Duop Reath, the Australian from the Portland Trailblazers. Now, he hasn't played much this season, but when you go back to last year, Reath had a really good season for Portland, averaging 9 points, almost 4 boards, shot it well from 3 as well. He's a really big, lengthy guy. He's just very raw at the moment, and he hasn't really played that much this season. Portland has kind of, kicked him out of the rotation. He's just played 20 games and only playing 6 minutes a night in those games. So he's really getting some garbage time minutes here at the moment, but he's really big, really long, pretty athletic, and he can step out and shoot the 3. And I really do think that's a valuable skill for a center to have, especially when you have the 1-2 punch of Gafford and Lively. If he's healthy, you can add another center like a Reath who can step out and shoot that 3. So it's an intriguing project, so to speak. Now, he's not nearly as established or nearly as of a sure thing as Valanciunas would be, but you can certainly get him on the cheaper end of things. Number 3 is kind of a guy like Reath who can also step out and shoot the 3. It's Kelly Olynyk of the Toronto Raptors. Olynyk's obviously been around the block, a one-time draft pick of the Dallas Mavericks. They obviously traded him for Shane Larkin, and we all know what happened in that draft when the Mavs could have had Giannis, but that's neither here nor there. Olynyk is shooting 48.5% from 3 this year. Now, that's only on 1.7 attempts per game, so the efficiency stats aren't really there. But again, Olynyk has familiarity with the organization as the Mavs did draft him. Him and Dwight Powell are really good friends, so he would have no problem assimilating there whatsoever. And again, a little bit of a cheaper option, and a Toronto team that's, I would guess, is going to be sellers here as we near the deadline. 2 weeks away from the deadline, we sit here today. So Olynyk is a name to keep in mind as far as potential Dereck Lively replacements go. We'll get to the rest of the list here in just a moment, but I do need to tell you guys about our sponsor, which of course is PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks has over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. They have made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just make more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. The big game is almost here, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. PrizePicks is also giving away a free pick for the big game, where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw 1 yard to win. If you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win some real cash. Check out the promos tab to tail any of our Super Sweat Millie winners big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of up to $1 million in promo funds. And PrizePicks is also the best place to get real action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, where we are, Georgia, and Florida. Here is a projection that I have cooked up for this weekend's football games. I took the more on Jaden Daniels. Oh, look at that, by the way. Only half a passing yard. Do you think Jaden Daniels is going to throw for 1 yard in the NFC Championship game? Go ahead and take the more there. I also took the more on Terry McLaurin to get into the end zone at half a rushing and reception touchdown. The same with A.J. Brown. So you can copy my picks or you can make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it with our friends over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. Again, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. That link will be clickable in the comments and the description of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, another Dereck Lively replacement, and this one may be the perfect mix of youth and upside here, and that is Dron Sharp of the Brooklyn Nets. Sharp this season, mostly off the bench, averaging 7.7 points, 6 rebounds, and 47% from the field in 17 minutes. And one thing about Sharp that I like is he's going to be a restricted free agent at the end of this season, so you can get him for pretty cheap. And if you really like him, you can sign him to a new contract. He's a very athletic big man, and he fits exactly what the Mavericks want to do, and where they want their centers to rim run, to set screens, and to protect the rim a little bit. And that's what Sharp can do. And obviously, he can rebound as well. So if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, if they're willing to give up Dayron Sharp, the Mavs and Nets have obviously dealt in the past most immediately with the Dorian Finney-Smith and change for Kyrie Irving deal. Sharp could be an option for the Mavericks going forward. And if you want to talk about rebounding, Andre Drummond's your guy. He can still rebound even after all of this time in the league. On a very, very bad Sixers team, Drummond's still averaging 7.5 boards in just 19 minutes. Also has a steal per game as well, so he can help you out in that category. And when the Mavs are missing Lively, Drummond would be someone that would be perfect, because when they're missing Lively, they really do miss rebounding. There were a couple of possessions last night against Minnesota where they just gave up 2 or 3 offensive rebounds, and on the third chance, Minnesota was able to score. If you have Drummond, he's just going to be a vacuum and suck up all those rebounds, and that would be a huge addition to this team. And if Lively ends up coming back for the postseason, you could have a 3 big man rotation where Lively plays 20 minutes and Gafford plays 20 minutes. And then the guy that you trade for could play the 8 to 10 minutes that you would need to supplement those guys. So you can have a big on the court at all times. But out of the 5 guys that I just talked about, I think Valanciunas, Sharpe, or Drummond is who I'd want. While I like Duop, Reath, and I like Kelly Olynyk, I think the other 3 fit this team a lot more than those 2 do. So if I was Nico Harrison, that's who I would be looking at for the Mavericks to trade for at this trade deadline. And make no mistake, I really do think they need to go get a big. So these are names I'd be looking at. But let me know down in the comments before we get on out of here, who would you guys want to trade for? If you think it's Valanciunas type 1, Reath type 2, Olynyk type 3, Sharpe type 4, or if you think it's Andre Drummond, go ahead and type 5. And of course, if anything happens with the Mavericks regarding a trade, regarding an injury, we will keep you guys up to date. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon here on the channel.